Those are some of the information that surfaced quite a while back, which were already investigated by our own institutions, independent institutions. Minister of Finance offered explanation for these things, and actually basically said that this is basically not true. So what I can do as the Prime Minister is really trust in the institutions, and they have full freedom to investigate further if they think there is additional documentation that they need to investigate. I'm saying that they've probably interpreted the information wrong that was published as part of Panama Papers. It has worked fantastically well. It's as though whatever we have done in terms of e-government, so reforming our government to make it as electronic as possible in terms of providing as much of electronic services to citizens and businesses as possible, really paid off during the pandemic. We did not have to stop any of the services. By that time, you could enroll your kid at the kindergarten or into school without actually having to be in the school or kindergarten physically or without any document, because we've basically made sure to automatically exchange documents between all of the public institutions. And it worked best during the vaccination campaign because it was very easy for us, due to the capacities that we have developed in the past couple of years, to set up very early on our own internal information system for the vaccination, tracking each and every vaccination since the time it actually came to Serbia, to the warehouse, to actually the citizen which gets the vaccines. And we have enabled our citizens to electronically apply for the vaccine and then directly be in touch with them through email, SMS, text messages, to invite them to come for their vaccination, and then remind them for the second vaccination, and also now for the third or the booster shot. So it really helped us be very efficient during the pandemic, which is extremely important. And finally, in schools, 2018 we have started introducing digital textbooks and connecting all the schools to the internet. So introducing digital classrooms, which has helped us to to transfer to online education during the pandemic. So we did not lose even one single day at school. So all of it really worked very well. Yes, obviously it was one of our key concerns. It was one of my personal key concerns as when I became the Prime Minister in 2017. And we have done a lot to address that issue. Now, what is extremely encouraging is that Vienna Institute of International Affairs has done a study which actually showed that in the period 2015-2019, Serbia managed to a large extent to reverse the brain drain, and especially with highly skilled workforce, and especially in the age group 24 to 29 years old, which is extremely encouraging. And I think it goes to show that we have results from actually putting the digitization at the very forefront of our efforts, and as the key priority of the government, and investing into research and development, science and technology, opening science and tech parks, introducing tax incentives for startup innovation companies. So highly qualified youth has started coming back. We still have quite a considerable problem with the brain drain of blue-collar workers. And what we are doing as of 2020, we have introduced special tax incentives for companies employing our people from diaspora, so basically bringing them back. And we have established, together with our diaspora organizations such as Serbian entrepreneurs from San Francisco and New York, the organization called Returning Point, which basically is in touch with our diaspora to offer them on a very concrete basis and on a case-by-case basis support if they want to come back. So I've actually seen people coming back, but still we have to see how to address the issue of brain drain of blue-collar workers. So it's as you have said, I'll start with what we're doing kind of in practice to lead by example. So the government has 50% of women, in some of the key institutions such as National Bank of Serbia. We have a woman as the governor. We have about 40% of MPs are women. We have mandatory rule of 40% of women at the electoral lists. And following the local elections that took place in June last year, we have for the first time ever in history women leading some of the key cities and municipalities across Serbia. But major cities are now run by women for the first time in the history. So it shows, I think, a great example and sends the right signals to also the local communities. In terms of more legal legal framework for gender equality, fight against, for example, domestic violence, there is still a lot to do, but we are doing it as part of our overall reforms in the area of the rule of law, and particularly in terms of fundamental values. So this year we have adopted the strategy against gender-based violence, against home violence, domestic violence. We have just adopted last week in the government strategy for gender equality. This year we have passed the law on gender equality. There was a lot of public kind of discussion, also criticism about the way in which the government has actually drafted the law. Many of those criticisms actually saying that we have kind of went a little bit beyond what is customary for our society. And I have to say that I'm happy that we were brave in pushing those limits. But there is absolutely still a lot to do, and especially in terms of domestic violence. Within the government, we have established the Interministerial Coordination Group composed of Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Labor and Social Issues to actually address those. But it will take time. It will take time, and it's a serious issue. Together with a definite increase in, I would say, mental issues such as anxieties, panic attacks, depressions is something that we will have to specifically look once the pandemic sets down. But I've already had meetings with our Ministry of Health, as well as some civil society organizations, corporations as well, to actually start discussing these concerns. But it is going to be, I think, quite of a it will actually be one of the long-term consequences of this pandemic. Well, the European Union, the goal to join the EU is our strategic focus, and we have just had the latest EU progress report on Serbia, and it's quite positive. So I'm happy that a lot of the reforms, and again, especially in the area of the rule of law, were recognized by the European Commission, which prepared the report. And I think for the first time in the report itself, we had a clear recommendation from European Commission to the EU member states to open 2 clusters in the next intergovernmental conference, which will probably be held in December during the Slovenian presidency. So but that depends now on the individual member states, and we are working individually with each and every member state to see if they have any additional outstanding concerns that we can address, questions that we need to answer to really prove the progress that we have made. So I'm hoping it will be sooner rather than later, but I would also like to say that it's not important that just Serbia becomes part of the EU. I think for regional stability and regional cooperation, it is extremely important that the EU gives a positive signal to our friends and colleagues in the region, especially North Macedonia and Albania, so that we can all move forward. In that respect, I really think that the stability of the EU to a large extent depends on it, and that the integration of the Western Balkans into the EU is as much in the interest of the EU as it is obviously for all of us. In terms of the timeline, I don't know. We will try to do all of the reforms on our European path in the most efficient possible manner. And again, because those are the reforms that will make Serbia stronger, those are the reforms that will make our economy stronger, our public administration more efficient and more transparent, our rule of law in terms of media freedom, fight against organized crime and corruption, dealing with the war crimes, and so on and so forth. It will increase the quality of life in Serbia, and then step by step it will take us to the EU. But the timing itself obviously depends on the individual EU member states. So I would not really, even guess the date. Listen, I'll be very clear. I'm the president of the Serbian government. As the president of the Serbian government, I can only really abide by what the Serbian parliament has said, and nothing more, nothing less than that. And the Serbian government, the Serbian parliament has adopted the declaration, and I stand by that declaration. Again, I think that people are misinterpreting this in the way that, if you say it wasn't a genocide, but it was a massive and terrible crime, that you are somehow actually ignoring the fact or denying that has actually happened. I'm not denying that the massacre has happened. I'm not denying that it's a terrible, terrible crime, and there are individual members who are responsible for that crime. And Serbia has actually done everything in its power to help the international tribunal to prosecute that crime, and so that is really, we have stood by what we needed to do in order to deliver justice. Then I can tell you that if that's the case, then we can discuss about many other crimes that happened at the territory of former Yugoslavia and during the World War II. I mean, the massacres.
No, but we're talking about Srebrenica, not World War II.
Yes, but to me it is extremely important to draw some parallels and to discuss this and say that, for example, one of the foremost experts on genocide, such as Gideon Greif, has said, no, it's not a genocide, it's a terrible crime of war, but it's not a genocide. And to say that he is a genocide denier, I think, we would disagree on that.